Welcome back, csc200 W1 Spring 2021 to our what we're calling Exercise 7. This is setting up our Goorm IDE, and we're setting it up to use phpMyAdmin as a database tool. We're also setting up mysql, so we could do that as well. And what we've done so far is just do some installs. And what we're going to do next is just make sure that our phpMyAdmin is installed correctly and configured correctly. So let's check out our instructions here. And we did all this stuff, and this is where the part 1 of the video ends. And what we're going to do next is we're going to set up our URL. So this will be separate from doing everything we were just doing. This won't be that hard. After all that, this should be pretty easy. We're going to go back here and we're going to go to Project, and we're going to go to Running URL and Port. And what you're going to do here, they have some kind of generically made URL here. We're going to get rid of it. So the first thing you'll do is you'll just hit the trash can and get rid of it. And it'll say delete it. Do you really want to delete it? And hit yes. And what you can do up here is actually just put your username. I was thinking we had to put Goorm PHP, our actual folder name here, but I think you could just put your domain name. So if you just want to put a domain in there, just put your username. So the one I'm working on right now is homa.wccc, so I'm just going to put that in. So if you want to just put your username in, that's fine. So I'm just going to put in homa.wccc. Sometimes I'll be using rmhoma, sometimes I'll be using homa.rcn. So I'm just going to put that in for now. I'm going to just put that in, and I'm going to make sure my port is 80. And I'm just going to hit register. And then I'm going to hit apply. And then I'm going to hit OK. Now, let me show you some things here. If I go back there and I go to Running URL and Port, I open it up again, and I click on this, this opens it up in another tab. And it says connection refused because something isn't running right now, but we'll get that fixed. That's okay. We'll leave it open though. And we'll go back here and cancel that a second. And what we probably have to do is do an Apache restart. I don't think we did that yet. I'm going to go to my text file and look for service Apache 2 restart. Let's do that. And I'm going to paste that here. And we'll go back here to the connection refused. Well, actually, let's see if this did anything. We'll refresh it, and that helped. And that actually fixed it. So we just had to restart our web server. So this is our main folder here of what we're working in. And what's in here is just a PHP file. So just to show you where we're at, this is going into that URL we just created, and it's going into our main container. And the only file in there right now is this thing that says hello Goorm. Now, that's this thing. That's this thing, and it says echo contents here, and that means PHP is running. That's kind of why that's here, is just a practice file. So that's running right now. So that's a good thing. So that means it's running. Now, we don't want to use that. It's just kind of a practice file. So I can just hit the back button. But before I do that, what I could do up here, instead of going into Goorm Pt2, just so you get used to the directory here, instead of going into that folder, right after where it says goorm.io, if you just highlight that and change that to be phpMyAdmin, that should take us into the phpMyAdmin tool. And that's part of the reason we just did all that work to install it. So it's phpMyAdmin, and it's after that slash, and it's in place of our container name. So instead of going into our container, we're going into phpMyAdmin. And here it is. And what we're going to use is phpMyAdmin as our, that's the default username. I didn't set that up. That's already set up. But you set up root as the password, lowercase. So enter root and then hit go. And you should see this. And if you see this, then we're in. Now, one thing to point out is we only have 2 things here, and we should see a bunch of things here. We just have to update our privileges. So we're going to do that. If you go to databases, you can see it says no privileges. So we can't even create a database here. So that's why we're going to update that. So that's not a big deal. we have some code to be able to do that. So what I'll do right now is I'm going to log out. This little thing here is log out. So I'm just going to log out of that. Now that's not a big deal. We know how to log in. And what I'm going to do is go back to Goorm, go back to here. Now we have to go into MySQL to do this. So that means what you're going to do next is just type MySQL, and you're going to enter MySQL, and this will start the MySQL prompt. And there it is. And we have to put this in here because this is part of the database. This isn't part of our bash. This isn't part of our server. This is part of our database. So we're going to go back and go into this text file here. And I think it's also on here as well. So let's just see what's going on here. We already did this. We already did this. And I think I showed this earlier, but we'll get to that. And this is what it's talking about, this stuff. And there's a line at number 11 that says grant all privileges. And let me see if I could copy it from here, and it works from here. And it does have a semicolon after it because that's SQL. So I'll copy that. And I'll go back here. And remember, you have to be in the prompt, the MySQL prompt. And I'll paste it here. And then just hit enter after you paste it. And it says query OK. And I think we're going to be OK here. What you should be able to do now is go back to phpMyAdmin and just log in again, root, and hit go. Now, I'm not sure if we have to restart anything, but we'll try this first. And it worked. You might say, well, how did it work? Well, we now have all this stuff over here. So we're going to have performance schema, phpMyAdmin, sys, and if you go to databases, we can now create a database. So all the stuff that we had to do with just pure code in Python anywhere, we can use this tool. This is a web database tool, and this is used with WordPress websites and things like that. Anything that holds a database to use with it uses like phpMyAdmin. So a lot of web servers and web hosting companies will use phpMyAdmin, like GoDaddy and things like that. You'll be able to go in if they're hosting your account, you can get into phpMyAdmin and work with databases inside there. It's a lot easier to do that than just writing code in a terminal. You can't do that online. So that's what phpMyAdmin is for. So everything is working now. If you can see this, you're in great shape. Everything's working. Matter of fact, you can log out and you're done in here. So the minute you see this, you're good. So you could log out, and that means that's working. You could even close that tab. And in here, you could even just quit out of here. Quit out of your MySQL prompt. So what you're going to do to turn this in or to finish this exercise, you're going to go back into this share this project area, and you're going to open up this share by link, and you're going to make sure that you have root checked here, and make sure that anyone is checked or selected. And then you're just going to copy your workspace link. You're just going to copy this. Just click on that, and you're going to go back to My Warren and go to Unit 7 and go into ex7 Goorm Setup, and just click here and add a comment and insert a link and paste it. And make sure you choose New Window, and that way I'll be able to get into your account. And just hit save. And you don't have to put anything. Once I see it, I'll know to get in there. I think I'll see your username and all that kind of stuff too. So you should be able to do that. Yeah, I mean, you could hit enter here and throw your username in. You know, for me, I was using home and WCCC. That's fine if you want to do that. That might help a little bit, but you don't have to, but you can do that. And just hit save, and that's all you have to do for this assignment. Now, it's not easy going through all this stuff. If you run into problems, let me know, but I'll need this to get in and help you with it. Otherwise, I can't get in and do anything with it. So if you run into problems, don't just email me and say, this happened or that happened. Say, this happened and here's my link, and then I'll go in and check it out. So what you can do when you're done, I'm just going to close this up. I think I have everything in here that I need, so I'm going to close this up. This text file, I think I'm going to close this up too. And what you're going to do in here, you don't really have to do anything. You don't have to hit exit. You can hit exit if you want. You could just type exit. Now, we're not going to have to do that every time. We're just going to have to start up our server. So we're going to have a lot less work the next time we get in here for our next exercise. But what you can do is close your container before you sign out. Just close your container. Don't just hit this thing. Close your container first. And it says, are you sure you want to leave the container? And you can hit yes. And when it closes up, it takes you back to your dashboard. Now, what's odd is your dashboard's still open over here, so you can just kind of close one of these. I guess I'll just close that first one because this is the one that you just closed. And then what you could do is probably sign out. You could probably stay signed in, but I would recommend signing out and signing in every time you do that. So you could go here and just do sign out, and then you're done. And that's ex7.